Welcome to the Garden Report, Celticsblog and CLNS Radio.com. My name is Jared Weiss. With me, as usual, Jimmy Toscano from Celticsblog. And with us, as not usual, my WEEI.com brethren over here, Ben Rohrbach. We are going to talk about the Celtics because they won 104-94 tonight over the Minnesota Timberwolves, or just the Wolves, I guess we'll call them. We'll call them the Pelicans soon anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But the Celtics win only by 10, but they were pretty much up by about 15 or so for most of the second half of this one. Rajon Rondo is allowed to play for the Celtics again. David Stern said, go ahead. 2 games is enough for you. Comes back with 17 points and 11 assists. We had a battle of the Kevins tonight. We're going to talk about Avery Bradley, who says that he's about to come back, whether or not that's news to his coach. And of course, we're going to sit down, or actually stand up technically, Jimmy, with JJ Barea. We're going behind enemy lines or into the enemy locker room.
Might I add, almost eye to eye, too.
That's true. One of the few players in the league that Jimmy can almost outbox when he's playing pickup.
Yeah, but he's definitely
Jimmy's
not.
Listed at 6'5".
We just proved it tonight.
So we'll do some measuring tonight. And of course, we got to talk about Rondo's return, which I already mentioned anyway, so you're not surprised by that. Suspended for 2 games for fighting with Chris Humphries, or really just hugging too hard Chris Humphries.
Right.
Comes back, pretty solid game for him. He had 5 turnovers, but I mean, that aside, it was kind of one of those Rondo toying with the other team for the most part nights, Ben. I mean, how did Rondo look in his return?
He looked great. I mean, all 5 starters had double digits, so, I mean, picked up right where they left off.
Yeah, I agree with Ben. I mean, he had 11 assists tonight. Started the new streak, so we can start talking about the streak in a couple of weeks when he's at like 10 or so again.
Well, he's at a 1-game streak right now.
Right, he's at a 1-game streak.
There.
Right.
He's almost there.
I mean, I actually, because I'm pathetic, I looked it up, and I think it's March 13th. He's set to break Magic's record.
There we go.
Against the Raptors.
47.
To give you some Raptor news.
Right. So, against the Raptors, if he needs it on that night, he'll probably get it on that one. But
I think the Raptors might shut it down, though.
Yeah. Hey, Lowry's a beast. Kyle Lowry's a beast.
Assuming he's playing. He wasn't playing in the last one.
He'll definitely be pissed if Rondo does it against him. But I thought in general, Rondo had a good night. He got everybody involved early on. I think the defense is a little stagnant here and there with him. But in general, he looked like the Rondo that we've seen all season, pretty much.
And fashion-wise, he definitely looked like the Rondo that we're used to. We're going to show you a clip. He didn't really say anything, but just look at his hat the entire time.
How long did it take you to find your rhythm after being out the last 2 games?
Like 2 seconds.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
Time it.
Rondo, talk about how easier the game is when Kevin gets into a flow early like he was in the post for you guys.
He played well.
Rondo, talkative as usual, a guy that really likes to celebrate coming off a suspension, obviously. But let's look at another really, I thought, was the kind of battle of the game tonight. The battle of the Kevins. A lot of praise going for both of those guys before the game. Rick Adelman talking about how great of a rebounder KG is, which is a good rebounder. I wouldn't say he's the preeminent rebounder, because that's Kevin Love. Doc talked before the game about Kevin Love being an incredible rebounder, comparing him to Dennis Rodman. And tonight, 13 rebounds. It's kind of like with Rondo's assist, Ben. 13 rebounds is actually kind of like a decent to mediocre night for Kevin Love.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable that the Timberwolves were able to replace Kevin Garnett with another amazing power forward and pretty much not.
You mean Al Jefferson, right?
Yes, exactly. And not use a single piece of the Kevin Garnett deal to find him. And I mean, other than him, though, it's a rough squad.
Yeah,
it is a rough squad. But I mean, I think with Kevin Love, I mean, like we said tonight, was a. I mean, it's crazy to say, like you said, Rondo, when he puts up 11 assists, it's a subpar night. With Kevin Love, 13 is kind of subpar, which is crazy to talk about because, I mean, he is honestly one of the best rebounders in the NBA. Doc Rivers used his name in the same sentence as Dennis Rodman pregame, so I mean, that tells you right there that he's a special talent on the glass.
And he also has a lot of post skill, which I think is my favorite part about him, is he's kind of the most well-rounded, old-school type of player in the league. He had this one great possession where he was back to the basket about 8 feet out with Solinger, I think, covering him, and he kind of just did like a little bit of a fake in towards the middle, spun baseline, and had the wide-open layup from there. You know, Kevin, it's not just the rebounding with him. I think people forget that because people just see him shooting the deep ball and grabbing a ton of rebounds and getting putbacks. He also has one of the most complete post games, back to the basket, and he's pretty good facing passing the basket too in the league. And he didn't have a dominant game, but he kind of got to flash Ben a lot of the different things that he can do really well.
And he said after the game that his hand was still bothering him. So 19 points and 13 boards.
And 1 for 5 from deep,
hand,
so you can see where the hand's hurting him there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the foul line 6 for 12, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much tonight, but in general, I mean, he's a big man who can shoot. I mean, he can stretch the floor, and I think we saw him try at least a couple of times tonight. I'm not actually sure off the top of my head. Okay, he 1 for 5, so that's pretty rough night for him. But the fact that he took 5 shots proves that he's a guy who can stretch the floor, which is uncommon for such a great rebounder,
Yeah,
a big guy
absolutely.
like that.
All right, Avery Bradley sighting in Boston. We've been seeing him warming up before the games, but I don't think we've seen him talk before the games. He sat down for at least 10 minutes today, really just going in depth. We got a lot of great footage. Just take a look at it.
You said you feel like you're getting.
I feel a lot better. You know, I'm doing push-ups now. Try to do them every single day, see how my arms feel. And I feel a lot more stronger. It's like night and day how I feel from 2 weeks ago. So I feel a lot better.
So Avery talking about how he's been really trying to push himself, but not too far. And he's kind of been with him, it's just been kind of the last few weeks, things all of a sudden are kind of spiking up. Things just kind of change for him overnight. He hasn't really had a timetable because things have just been changing so rapidly for him. And we've seen him kind of out on the court before the games, warming up. He's looked pretty solid, but definitely doesn't look like he's going 100%. Jimmy, what do you think he's going to be doing for the team right when he gets back in there, and then when he kind of starts to get his conditioning back?
Well, he immediately becomes their best on-ball defender, and I think defense has been the main issue for the Celtics. And it sounds crazy to say that because they're a team that's been thriving off defense for years. But this year, I think the defense has slipped a little bit. So you get him back, you work. Once he gets back into practice and he starts getting reps with the starters and he starts with the reps with the other guys, they're going to eventually insert him into the second lineup. So what that does is that gives the Celtics first unit a great defender, and it gives the bench a great scorer in Terry, because that's where he's supposed to be the whole time. So right now you've got a guy in Terry in the wrong unit. I mean, he's doing fine in the first unit, but the bench is suffering. So I think not only is Bradley going to help the first unit with, on the defensive side, and also run with Rondo, because that's what they were doing before he went down, but Terry's going to become the guy on that second unit. He's going to become the sixth man that he's made a career off of being, and I think it's going to be great. And I know I know that's what we're kind of waiting for, and I think the reason why his progress is picking up now is because he's finally allowed to do something. Before it was sitting around don't do anything when you show this, but now we've been seeing him take shots before the game, and I think he's taking shots in practice. I don't think he's been cleared for contact at all, but he's still taking shots.
And you wonder what that's going to do to Courtney Lee when he comes back, because I think Bradley's the most important piece that's left to come. I mean, he, outside of Garnett moving to center last year, him moving into the starting lineup changed the team, and that's going to, I imagine, he'll pick up, because defense, you have your shoulders, but
Right.
his shooting might suffer when he comes back, but defensively, he's going to be the same Avery Bradley, and that changes Rondo too.
What do you think that's going to do for Lee's confidence? Because it seems like his confidence has been the reason why he's sort of been not the guy that we sort of expected when we made the trade for him.
I know. I mean, he's already been behind Barbosa at times this season, so I don't know. I mean, I expect Lee to come back, but
Right.
we're quarter way through the season, and we're still not seeing it from him.
In 20 minutes tonight, Lee was 1 for 4. He only had 2 points, 1 of rebound, assist, steal. So not a ton of production tonight from him. And Lee, a lot of what he does is not going to show up in the box score because he makes most of his plays with energy. The difference, though, is Avery is the same kind of player, but he actually wasn't really making it show up in the box score. I think it's a product of just how good of a player Avery is, but also that I think Avery just last year was a little bit more reliable in some of the areas that actually they need for productivity.
Right.
Areas like shooting in the baseline, weak side shooting, getting actual steals. Lee definitely a good on ball defender, but there's really probably only about 3 or 4 guys in the league that really match up to Avery's defensive prowess. And I think the question for them is Avery going to do something different than what Lee's doing, or is he just going to do what Lee's doing but do it a lot better?
And Bradley's cuts to the basket, I thought last year,
Oh yeah, definitely.
were huge. I mean, he got like 3 layups a game just from knowing where to be, and Rondo and him had a great chemistry with that. So I haven't seen that with Lee.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I agree. I think real quick, I just think Avery's a smart guy off the ball. I think he's a guy that you know, and one of the things he said when I talked to him, I think it was last week, is like he, you know, by not playing, he's studied the game. He's been watching a lot of film of the team playing without him, and he's seeing a lot of things that he's never seen before because he's never probably focused on that part of the NBA. I mean, obviously when you're an NBA player, you want to be out in the court, you want to be practicing, and you're not really watching as much film as maybe you would be when you're injured. So I think he's learning a lot about the game by watching right now, which is good.
It's funny, we're talking about off the ball. Before the game, I asked him about the pick and roll he's been practicing, so let's take a look at that. So we saw you running a lot of pick and roll drills out there. Are you looking to handle the ball a little bit more when you get back?
Yeah, no, I can't say that.
So you became like the king of the off-ball play last year.
I try to work on every part of my game. It's kind of hard to work on cuts, you know, when you're warming up and working out. So, you know, it's just something I could work on. So I was just doing pick and roll, seeing that I could be in that situation when I come back. So just working on it.
Can you still dap people up? Are there any handshakes that you can't do anymore? There you go. Seems safe. All right, thanks, man. You can see at the end there, we asked Avery if he can still dap up, and then of course the guy we're talking about, Courtney Lee, you couldn't see it in the shot, comes over and daps him up right away. So if you want to worry about chemistry issues there, they're cool. They sit right across from each other in the locker room anyway, so they're cool.
So he can get a dap on his shoulder. So he's at that stage in his recovery.
Exactly. So he's able to dap someone up, get the snap at the end of it. So they're good there. Now this guy right here to my left, Jimmy Toscano, he came up with a great segment called Behind Enemy Lines. So we put him in the enemy locker room, or visitor's locker room, as you're legally supposed to call it.
The enemies.
And he talked to JJ Barea, one of the few players in the league that's just about eye level with Jimmy. So let's take a look at that video.
Former Northeastern Husky. All right, we're behind enemy lines with JJ Barea, former Northeastern Husky. JJ, what's it mean to be back in Boston right now? And I know you had 4 good years.
Yeah, well, it's always good. Come back, you know, see my old streets where I became like I said, I became a man. I was here for 4 years, so it's always back to see my people.
Took a trip down Huntington Ave earlier today? Or?
Yeah, I went to school, had some breakfast over there in my spot.
Where'd you go?
Chicken Lou. Right there.
Chicken Lou's?
Chicken Lou's. I always go there, so I went there this morning.
It's a popular late night spot, I know that much. Right?
No, it's a during the day breakfast. Yeah, that's my favorite spot.
Cool, man. What are your thoughts on how the Timberwolves are doing right now?
Oh, we're doing great. You know, we 8-8. We got some injuries, but we still hanging in there. Everybody's stepping up, so we just got to keep it moving.
So you mean to have Kevin Love back with the team, too?
Oh, he's great. He's our star player, so we're glad to have him back and get him ready.
I know you won a championship with the Mavericks. What did that do to you as a player and as sort of as a leader? Because you probably do have a different role in this team now, where you're one of the older guys on the team.
Oh, no question. I'm a little what I learned over there in Dallas, try to bring it over here, and what it takes to win. I try to talk to the guys.
And you played with a Celtic now, Jason Terry. What's he like? What was he like with you guys?
Oh, one of the best teammates ever. He took care of me, and we had our battles together. I learned from him a lot, and yeah, he's one of the best.
All right, that's JJ Barea. He's an enemy tonight, but he's actually a pretty good guy in person, all right?
Yeah, Chicken Lou's definitely is the spot where it's at Northeastern. Now let's box out. Let's throw some bows. Ben, can you throw some bows real quick?
No, not too hard. Not too hard.
We're throwing some bows here.
This is a new suit.
Doing a little bit of Kevin Love on the new suit. Jimmy looking sharp now. He's trying to match me on the suit game here. Although I got a new gray suit coming in the mail soon too, so we'll have to really
my style.
it out.
Through the mail.
That's right.
Oh,
well,
How you doing?
Yeah,
I get mine fitted.
Long story. You can see it on Twitter after the show. But Ben, let's start with you. Let's get our booty into this thing and box out.
All right, I'm going with the rebounding 45-41
Taking it literally
advantage.
there.
Oh, yes. Actually, I am. 45-41 for the Celtics. The Timberwolves are a great rebounding team, especially with Kevin Love, and Pekovic had 9. I don't know how they out-rebounded him. They did it the same way that they did it with scoring. They had 7 guys with at least 4 boards, including Terry got in on the rebounding. And somehow they still gave up 50 points in the paint. I don't know how that happens.
Kevin Love, as we were talking about.
Right.
Yeah. And with Pekovic, he had 4 offensive rebounds. All of those offensive rebound, and he just like flips up a hook shot.
Don't forget though, the guards. Barea, I know we just watched Barea, and specifically him. I saw him get to the hoop.
True.
All 4 times were easy. He made one crossover and an easy layup. So I mean that counts as a point in the paint too. So it's not necessarily the bigs that are the reason for those points, but definitely I thought that was one of the big issues I had with the Celtics tonight was easy shots. The Timberwolves were getting some easy uncontested shots. But good stat.
Yeah, it says more about the defense than it does.
Usually when we do boxing out with the rebounds, it's because they were out rebounded by a ton. So it's good to have it the other way around.
Right.
Jimmy, what's the easiest shot in the game?
The free throw. somebody should tell the Timberwolves that, because tonight they shot 14 of 30 from the line. And when you lose by 10 and go 14 of 30, well, you don't really have to look much further into the loss. At the free throw line, the charity stripe, I mean, dude, put me at the line. I'll shoot 14 of 30.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a really good free throw shooter. I'll probably shoot 20 of 30.
Apparently, you're a pretty lousy free throw shooter if you're shooting 20.
No, I'll probably shoot like 20 of 30.
Okay.
But with the pressure on, maybe like 18 of 30. Sometimes I crumble under pressure.
Okay, for me, it's the shooting. I think I did this last week. I'm kind of getting tired of saying this, but the Celtics are a good shooting team. You know, and Doc talked about last week how he wants to build teams around mid-range shooting. Celtics did that because they didn't shoot too well from deep. They only shot 24% from deep, but 53%. And the thing about that actually is that we had a lot of garbage time in the fourth quarter. Before that, they were shooting at about 56%. And usually you'll see a team start up at like 56, and then they'll kind of eventually make their way down to about 45. They actually kind of dipped a little bit and then started shooting really hot in the third quarter, that part of the game where Rondo started hitting like a bunch of 20-footers.
Right.
And so, you know, the Celtics, when they're able to finish games with that high a shooting percentage, especially after making a dip, it's great to see them basically be able to pick it up in the third quarter, late fourth quarter, because the second unit has been kind of seeing those numbers dip, and they've been really losing a lot of momentum and productivity. But I think it's just the craziest stat of the night is KG is off for 7 minutes in the third quarter, 20-11 the Celtics win for the rest of the third quarter there. So that second unit had a huge run, you know, +9 differential in the third quarter. That's really big for them.
Definitely.
Baller of the nighttime. This is where we decide who balled up the most, and we argue about it, and then we eventually let the guest win. So let's start with you, Ben.
All right, I was gonna go with Steamsma's 0 rebounds and 0 blocks, but I think I'm gonna go with Garnett.
Okay.
He hit, I think, 6 of his first 7 shots, and the 7th shot was a 3 at the buzzer. You know, when they establish him early, good things are gonna happen.
Short and sweet. I like that. I agree. Kevin Garnett's probably the baller of the night. However,
Are you reeling him in?
got him. Brandon Bass, baller of the night for me tonight, and that's simply because in the third quarter, 10 points, 5 of 5 shooting from the field. I thought the third quarter was obviously the quarter where the Celtics sort of made their mark and pulled away to an extent. I know that it wasn't a huge lead going to the fourth, but I thought the third quarter was big, and Bass was one of those guys in the third quarter that really stepped up in the second half. I thought the C's most, you know, in the first half it came out a little flat. In the second quarter they had more energy, and I thought Bass was a big reason why.
Okay, if we're doing the whole acting thing, I'm going to do the dog ears like Rondo, because it was the 2 shots for him in the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter, when Bass was playing really good defense. That's when the Celtics really blew this one open, got up to about, was it a 17-point lead there. That's when things really ended. It got so bad that Derek Williams came into the game. Putting a number 2 pick into the game in Minnesota, it's either Williams or Darko. That's not a good sign for them. It's kind of scary to think that that's where Derek Williams is at this point. But
he'll get there.
Yeah, but I mean, seriously, Rondo was just so in control tonight. I didn't think that, for the first time at least in a while, he didn't actually pass up on an open shot for once. He actually took open shots. You know, they were talking, even national shows were talking about how ridiculous it was during the streak that Rondo would literally just be standing under the rim, then he'd kick it out to Jason Terry or something like that on the 3-point line. Rondo actually was assertive, really in control, 6 for 11 shooting, 3 for 5 from the line, or 5 for 6 from the line.
Good.
You know, the only thing that really killed him tonight was that he missed a couple threes. I think one of them was like a half-court heave kind of shot at the buzzer, so we won't count that. But it was pretty much a complete game for Rondo tonight. I think that's what you wanted, like a mediocre game to be for Rondo. It was a 17-11 where he's good. He does a couple things that kind of open up the lead and pretty much put it out of reach for your team. That's like what you want a basic night for Rondo to be.
Agree.
All right, let's go around the league now. Let's kind of get our flap on because we're talking about the Pelicans. I don't know if this is how a Pelican
I'm not going to get any flap.
Isn't that what we did for the rebounding?
You just threw elbows and rebounding.
You throw them bows, you fly away, whatever it is. The New Orleans Hornets are reportedly, according to Mark Spears at Yahoo Sports, going to be changing their name to the Pelicans next year. It's the official state bird. Maybe it sounds like a little bit more normal down there, but I feel like, to me, that would be like if the Celtics change their name to the Massholes. You know, it's really
traffic.
weird. Ben, we were talking in the locker room about a couple other potential names. One thing that we talked about is bringing the Jazz back to New Orleans, because there's rumors that MJ is going to bring the Hornets name back to Charlotte. So then let's just say that the Jazz, because Pelicans, that's done. No point of arguing over that. Let's say the Jazz don't have a name. Utah needs a new name. What's your first one?
Oh, I was gonna go with the Mets.
On the spot.
The Romneys.
There you go.
I'm going with the Arches, just because they have those arches there in Utah. I know it's kind of a weird name, but why not? It's kind of, you don't want to be attacked by arches.
I'm going with the Wives, the Utah Wives, or the Utah Families. Whatever. I think.
I don't think that name's gonna go.
I think the theme in the NBA now is something with local flavor, local significance.
But it shouldn't be, because it isn't. I mean, where is there like a big Raptors population in Toronto right now?
Well, there's a lot of dinosaurs in southeastern Canada. I think it's a pretty well established fact. There's a lot of Celtics in I don't even know what that is, but
it's an Irish guy.
Yeah.
I guess there are a lot of.
It's a leprechaun.
It's a leprechaun.
And there's a ton of lakes right in the middle of downtown Los Angeles.
Whoa.
So NBA making a lot of sense these days. But let's actually talk about what's going on in LA right now. Besides the fact that Pau Gasol is the most loved and hated player in NBA history, apparently right now, Kobe went from Pau needs to pick it up to Pau is his brother and he'll murder everybody for him. And then Kobe does the unthinkable and scores, what was it, like 16 points a night? Seriously, Kobe hits 30,000. Fifth guy to ever score 30,000 points in a career. Talking about Kareem, Malone, MJ, Wilt, and Kobe. Ben, we'll start with you. Does Kobe pass Kareem?
I do not think so.
Too heavy of a question there? Yeah.
No.
I don't think so. I mean, he's too old now, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
And he's got the knee problem. But the one thing...
He doesn't need to, though. I mean...
No.
His game is etched in stone as it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he'll be satisfied if he can get Jordan.
Oh, we'll get Jordan.
So he's been chasing his
he needs
entire
about
career, right?
2,000 more points to get Jordan. I'm not worried about that one. I guess a better question, is he the greatest Laker ever? Or will he be once it's all over?
Dude, hard questions. Man.
No. Oh, this is around the league ain't easy.
I mean, we could argue all day about that. I mean,
No.
he's definitely up. I mean, he's got to be considered as one. I mean, you've obviously got Kobe, Magic. I mean, people would argue Magic probably.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I'd say Magic.
I mean, there's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, you can go on and on. It's a great franchise. But Kobe's, I mean, if you want to do a starting lineup of great Lakers, he's obviously starting. That's for sure. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I believe it's Magic. I think Magic is probably I'd say probably the third or fourth best player of all time. I'd put Kobe basically right behind him. I wouldn't put Kareem ahead of those guys. I think, and I obviously have seen a lot more Kobe and Magic in my life than Kareem. But for me,
have you really seen Magic?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was. Will I was watching during my entire childhood, of course. But I mean,
those were the good old days.
Exactly.
When basketball was basketball.
For me, I think Magic is right here. Kobe's kind of like right here, and then Wilt's kind of in this little space over here. Will, of course, being probably the most dominant player of all time.
Where's Troy Murphy?
Troy Murphy, he's like right above Wilt, I'd say. Okay, let's just leave it at Troy Murphy being the greatest Laker of all time, second greatest Celtic of all time. So for
Behind who?
What's that?
Behind who?
Behind who? I mean, I'd say Dino Raja, probably my top Celtic ever.
I was gonna go Purvis, but you can make the argument. For
He's never nervous, and I'm never nervous. Ben Rohrbach should be a little bit nervous right now because we are ending the Garden Report. Thank you for coming on to the show, Ben. Jimmy Toscano, I'm Jared Weiss. We'll see you next time.